Okay.
Okay, let's call to order at 5:05 p.m. and identify who is here.
Scott Breyer, Select Board.
Scott Morley, Select Board.
Dan Webster, Select Board.
Dave Barlow, favor.
Dave Reisman. Interest in the Planning Commission.
And then we also have Phil Marquette, Emergency Management Director, and Deb Limlaw, Tangway, Town Clerk. Deb Limlaw, Tangway. Okay, changes or additions to the agenda. We actually have one. This came in last minute. It is a salvage yard approval for you guys. State of Vermont sees no reason for you not to approve it. Spoke with him on the phone. You're well aware of that guy, and he's apparently in good standing.
So we're gonna do that right now.
So you can sign whatever you want. I don't think it needs a motion. Just need your signature. He comes and picks it up, and he sends it to the state, and then he has to get another thing from them.
Did you all sign it or just one of us?
Does it say where it is?
Yeah, Airport Road.
It's an existing junkyard.
Yes. Read on the front here.
At the end of Airport Road?
Yep.
Oh, like towards Newport.
Right at the end, right across.
The
from
old Redemption
Right
Center.
across from right across from NevTech. I think that's what isn't that what it's saying, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been there forever.
it's been there forever. He just needs to,
He needs a permit.
he's the permit guy. I called the state, the guy that's in charge of state salvage programs, and he said there's no reason you guys shouldn't renew that or whatever you gotta do with it.
He doesn't have to go through an Act 250 permit or anything, or is this part of that?
He's gonna come pick that up tomorrow.
This is the beginning of
Yeah,
his
he
process.
sends that into the state. The state will go out and do an inspection, and then
Just like what we did with Charlie.
basically, he's the state's problem after this. I mean, we don't really. The town doesn't.
Fence in yard.
I recall that being a yearly thing, just like the liquor licenses.
Yeah, you did another one over the summer for the,
Yeah.
the Rockwells. Is there any public comment tonight?
Okay, well, this week,
Yeah.
so you guys.
It's just you.
Good.
Just, that would be very formal.
First up, we have the town report schedule. Things are going pretty good as far as the town reports concerned. People are getting me their stuff. Just want to remind you guys to get me your letters. I think we've made a decision on who to do the dedication to, so we're good there.
Say it.
School will be the last one. We're gonna do Richard Lucia this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He was a longtime principal of the school. He served on the select board. He served on the planning commission here. He's done a lot in the town in his life.
Yeah.
And still does.
Very
Still
deserving.
Yeah.
Very deserving.
Still offers
Yep.
us.
Yeah, he's on Deb's Justice of the Peace. So he does a lot, and I think he'll be very appreciative of this.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Anything you guys are gonna still owe me a letter from the select board. Deb's pretty much working on gathering the school stuff for me. And we need a letter from the new road foreman. Here.
Do you guys want to throw me a few, notes for the letter and then I can compose it? A few things you want to talk about? Can kind of make it a tiered letter. I know in the past 2 or 3 years I've done the letter myself. But this letter could be from the select board if you just email Matt some notes and then he can send them to me and then I can piece it together with everybody's thoughts.
When do you need it, Matt? This week. Time this
And
week.
Yesterday.
December. Or early January.
Christmas.
It's a Christmas letter, okay?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can all
Yep, that is a good idea.
use you as
We can
a,
all contribute.
send all our thoughts to you as bullet points or whatever, and then you can craft a
Mhm.
half a page or
Yep.
full page or whatever.
Mhm.
And what about Richard? Who's you, are you gonna,
I will contact Richard, I will do an interview with him and get like a, a history of what he's done for the town and take a picture of him for it. So
And you'll write it up?
I will write that part up,
nice,
Yeah. that'll be-
yep. So, I'll just ask him, when did you come to Coventry, how, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to give the people.
You better plan a day.
I know, yeah, I know.
Why don't you take,
Well, I've only got one page.
take them out for lunch?
Yeah. So that's it there, I think we're good, we're moving in the right direction, if I have any problems, timing wise or getting stuff from people, I'll probably reach back out to you guys to threaten them for me, so. Next up, we have the emergency 911 map approval. We had a meeting here last week with Phil Marquette, Scott Morley, myself, and emergency service personnel from Newport and Orleans. And they were able to hash out the response zones for each of those people, the ambulance and the fire. We got some maps. Phil, do you have the maps? I've got them here on the desktop if David wants to help me share them.
If you want to give me sharing ability, I can share them on here and
Okay, what do I need to do? Share screen?
click the little arrow next to share screen, and I think it's allow multiple, something like that.
Okay, yep. Is it right? Yep. That takes a little bit.
You see this map?
Yep.
So I don't know. Do you want me to go over it or Scott or someone? I don't know how well you can hear me, but
Well, Scott Morley knows it. It's basically just for Dan and Scott to look at.
if you guys can hear me, this is the overview of the whole line that's changing currently. You can see my mouse, right?
Yeah.
Currently, this red line, this is the bottom south corner of Coventry, which I cut off just because of how to get it all in. But this red line is currently what Orleans Fire Department covers south in this area. And then Newport Ambulance is currently covering that area ambulance wise. And then Newport City Fire and Newport Ambulance are covering the rest of it. This green line is the agreed that, or the line that we came up with at last week's meeting to follow, to change this line will move up to this green line, which will then be Orleans Fire Department and Orleans Ambulance, with everything north of that green line being Newport City Fire and Newport Ambulance. It's always been discussed on Coventry Station Road. However, as you can see, the line is above that. That is to do, which I can go to the next maps to show a little more detail. That's to make sure the addresses get the correct response. Because if we put this line through the driveway, the address would technically be on the other side of the line, so it wouldn't get the response that we were wanting to get. As a note, this section here is currently Newport Ambulance, that it will also be changed to Orleans Ambulance as it's part of the same zone down here. So this goes more detail up to Maxwell Road. And then where's my button? This is from that point through. So we did the Airport Road Coventry Station intersection. The old Bauman Barn addresses are actually on Airport Road, so we brought that line down to get their address in still on the city and Newport side. And then you can see how it just comes up and around to follow to make sure those addresses get into that correct response area. Same down through here. At that meeting, we discussed this Route 14 Coventry Station Road Route 5 intersection and agreed to have Newport cover that intersection. So that's why the line is doing what it is here. And so Newport will cover all of Route 14 and all of 5 North. And then this cuts across, follows the river just to make sure everything falls into play right. I also had the 4-wheeler trail stay on the Newport side due to the access area. So that way, if there was a call that came in down on this area, it would be where the access is for the coverage area. And this is the last one that just shows all of Coventry Falls, Linton Hill, Reservoir Road, and up through here. And that's pretty much it as far as the line goes.
Any questions for Phil?
When is the change actually gonna happen? Is it the first of the year?
January 1st is what you guys were saying, right? That's what the contract or
Yeah, with your contracts.
Yeah.
So communicating your email back from them, did we got all those yet?
I received from Orleans and Newport Ambulance, Newport Fire I have not, but I know he's been up at the jail with a chemical hazmat incident since like noon.
Okay, so you'll keep on that.
Yeah, I'll get it. Yep.
So that's something that you kind of need for your application. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, so we've got our new contracts, our updated contracts. We've got this line, so we'll all approve that tonight. Part of what Phil was asking for all of these folks is that they recognize that and that they accept it and understand it.
That way we don't have oh, I thought you were going.
Yeah.
So it's official, and he deals with that with the 911 folks in the state and for dispatch, and everything's settled. And I thought it was a great meeting. I appreciate it, Phil. Everybody from the groups that we had were participating, and it was pretty seamless, I thought.
Yep.
So I'm good if you're good, Phil, and I'll motion it. Or did you have
I
anything
think
else?
that's all just to cover it, just the motion, the change in the ESN 432 line to the proposed.
Oh, wait a minute, there's technicalities there.
I would
What's
just
it-
put
What's it called?
this one right here, ESN 432.
ESN 432.
Is it 412?
Or 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd make a motion that the town of Coventry adjust and adopt the newly established ESN 432 boundary for its local E911 responses.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you, Phil.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Go ahead, Deb.
My only question is, have you guys considered placing that map in the annual report with maybe a little letter to help reach out to the residents to get them a better understanding? I know it's just gonna go to voters, but at least you'd be hitting quite a few people.
That's a great idea, Deb. I will definitely do that.
Whether
Done.
Phil maybe wants to incorporate that with his letter or the select board, but I think with that distinction, just letting them know, be aware, that'll be a good head start. And then the date of town meeting, that should be a discussion at the end.
with us?
Huh?
You still with us, Phil?
Yeah, I
Can
can.
you
I
put it
can.
in 911?
The 911 letter. Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, yep, very good. Good idea, Deb. Thank you.
So having Orleans and Newport together, they seem to agree on that line.
Yeah.
Cause it seemed like Newport wasn't when they was just Newport here.
I think there was some communication that wasn't as successful as we would have wanted it. And I think, it's just level heads and everybody looked at it, thought through it, and
Good.
we're good.
Okay. Next up, we have the Northeast Kingdom Organization Meeting, which is scheduled to take place here in Coventry on January 16th, 2024. We had a previous one of these meetings back in October. They had another one scheduled in December that they ended up canceling and then rescheduling for January. Stop.
Phil, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna talk, can I talk about 6 and 7 sort of together?
You may.
So Nico, we've talked about a little bit here before, I think. They came to the building a month ago or so. Matt and I both attended that meeting. It was a bit rough.
Contentious.
There's, and I get it. That was some follow-up to our flooding. And there's folks that feel as though we haven't done quite all that we should be doing for our residents. And I think that's good. I think that's healthy. I think that everybody should be able to voice that, and we should hear that. And if there's things we can do, we should help. With that said, though, I feel as though I have to say to everybody, let's not get clouded between the thoughts, opinions, and feelings of some folks and what we have as systems and responsibilities as a government, as a town government. So what Nico is doing is their Northeast Kingdom organization. I say that right?
She did.
And I think they're a worthy cause, and I think they're helping in a lot of ways. I also think that sometimes in that help, some folks can get distracted around what responsibilities we have.
Emotions getting mixed in.
They can, and it can become confusing for people who may think or feel that there's an organization there that's going to help fulfill some particular need that the town is actually accountable for. And so it can be a little bit confusing sometimes, and I don't think that it's always good to have folks, sort of uneducated to that. So one of the things that I've done, and Phil has helped me a lot, Phil and I have talked about some of this stuff, is sort of taken a step back and said, wait a minute. The emergency management director is Phil Marquette. He's Coventry's emergency management director. And if you look at what that is, what he's responsible for, it is everything that we were talking about in the meeting. And in a lot of the things that we're discussing, and that people's feelings that they're not getting those services are or not, it's conversations we should be having. We should be having with Phil. Phil should be filling us in educationally on what we do, what we don't do, what we have, what we don't have. And so I thought, just because they're coming back again to do some follow-up meetings. And so what I thought to do tonight was just, I'm going to read this. This can be actually overwhelming, and Phil really is good at this stuff, and he understands this stuff. So this is the official Vermont government website. Okay. So Phil's position is a state sanctioned position, right? And so it says, this is what the emergency management director is and what they are responsible for. Emergency management director is an appointed individual in each town or city who has direct responsibility for the organization, administration, and coordination of the local or organization for emergency management, subject to the direction and control of the executive officer or legislative branch. That's the select board here. Generally, the emergency management director manages the local emergency management organization, including the identification of the resources and organization that would be used to support incident command, manages the creation and maintenance of the local emergency operations plan, manages the maintenance of the local emergency operations center, facilitates emergency management meetings with municipal stakeholders to discuss current emergency management plans, organization, equipment, training, and exercises. He coordinates citizen preparedness initiatives coordinates volunteer recruitment, participates in the creation of the local hazard mitigation plan, participates in the emergency management manager certification program offered by the state of Vermont Emergency Management, and if determined necessary, appoints an emergency management coordinator, who is Matt, to assist in executing any of these responsibilities. So that's a lot. But I think it's important that we know, we recognize, we educate that we have that. This is what we do. We might not always make perfect grade, and we might sometimes miss things, but what we shouldn't do is get confused around who's ultimately accountable and responsible for it, which is us, select board. So we've delegated authority. We've got Phil, thankfully, and he's got you for the coordination of a lot of those pieces. And so that's sort of what I just wanted to get that out there tonight. So as folks come, and I'm glad they are, to communicate with us, to talk to community residents, it's important that somebody from this organization, Phil's gonna be, and Matt and one of us, really do attend these meetings and help facilitate that aspect of the discussion, which is important, because people could get confused. People could have an understanding when they leave a lot of these meetings that there's going to be a group or an activity that may not be there. Because if it's not coming through the authority of the board and Phil, then
It doesn't
it
exist.
doesn't exist. And so take it for what it is. Phil, did you kind of follow that rambling? You got anything to say on that?
No, that was pretty correct. What, so I, to help with this, I think a little bit is every year we've got to update our local emergency management plan, which in that description, they obviously haven't changed the name, and it used to be local emergency operations plan. They changed it to emergency management plan.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do is, after you guys get through budget season and past the first of the year, is get a group of us together, and then also like 3 of us, Matt, myself, road commissioner, one of you guys, or we do it at a warm meeting together and start the process of that, going through that plan, but then also have another one that we invite the public to. Because as we have discussed, I think there does need to be public participation, and there is more to there's different versions of the emergency management plan that you can do depending on how detailed you want to get, and the details is something I've been wanting to do for a while but just haven't had the participation to do it. So I think if we're at a good starting point to start this fresh and try to get on a new road forward, this would be a good time to do that.
I agree.
Yep, me too, Phil.
So Phil, can you, I don't know the date of that meeting. Can you plan to go to that meeting
January 16th.
16th, 1/6.
here?
Correct. It's 5:30, 6 ish.
So can you plan to go to that?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday night.
And just help facilitate that conversation around, you know, everything that you just said, and just sort of, you know, live with it and go with it. And, you know, we need to accept that, you know, criticism that, you know, that there was a fair share of criticism there, and that's okay. We should, you know, don't take it to heart, and take it as we can do better, and, you know, let's gain some buy-in, and let's gain some folks, not to go just to those meetings, but some of ours.
Yep.
And I like your thought on that, which is we should probably get a skeleton of it anyway, a frame of it as a group, and then ask for some some input and put that out. Yeah, I like that, but. I think it's important that you, put your face on it and you help us to talk through that.
Go ahead, Deb.
This has been off from Phil's comment of the public. We did have one individual who came into the town office and he was actively very interested. So I just thought I'd just shoot his name out there. Jim Cobb has being able to assist with this sort of stuff that you're talking about right now. I'm just.
Yeah. I saw your email. I had not had a chance to reach out to him yet, but that was
No,
that was what triggered my thought on doing this, and he will be one to reach out to when we do it.
Yeah, no, that'll be perfect. Just for, I didn't know if the board knows or whatever, but he definitely showed interest. Just want to let you know.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Okay, so is there anything more you wanted to say on emergency management program, or did we kind of cover them both?
I said too much. Ask these guys.
Okay, so do you want to just say that we've covered that then?
I would say yes.
Okay, so move on to the road crew liaison.
I can speak to that a little bit.
Okay, Scott, go ahead.
So, as we all know, we have a whole new road crew. The guys are trying. For the most part, I think they're doing a good job. I like the guys. I'm in good communication with them. It's a learning curve. There's a lot of moving parts to the road maintenance and upkeep and plowing and salting and sanding that probably the average person doesn't know and doesn't even want to know. They just know that I can't get down my road and the road wasn't plowed before the bus. And there's really no excuses for that. We've just had in the past someone who it was their passion and it was their life. And things are changing a little bit, and these guys, I believe, will become more passionate about their job, and they will learn what they need to do to make it happen, to get it to the standard that the community is used to. So I'd like to ask you guys to allow me to be in communication with these guys on a daily, weekly basis and, report back to you. But, I think they need a little bit of direction, and, they need to know. I don't think they hear directly when people are complaining, but when my phone's going off and probably your phone's gone off and you might have gotten some complaints, and we really don't want these complaints, but there's a lot of simple things that I didn't realize either. So when they're out at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 in the morning and this heavy snow it's not just a matter of plowing the road. Now there's trees that are hanging down over the road. So they need to cut these trees so they can plow the road. So there's a lot of delays, and I think it's just a learning curve. And I think they're starting to figure it out, which trucks to use where, and chains, and if it needs to be full of salt to go up the hill or sand. And I think they'll get it. And I asked Nathan to let's, before in our budgeting season, let's make give me some updates, what we need to do for turnarounds, and just there's a lot of things that need to improve to make it smoother. So I think if I could have allowed to speak on our behalf to those guys, and I've told them little things they need, like, oh, we should have a battery change. So we have one, but we don't need a gas one that doesn't start. If we just have a little one to take, like a pole, one on a pole that we can just whip down the tree, so we can get through and we can come back and clean it up later. I'm like, yeah, well, we'll pick one up. You should have one in each truck, stuff like that, little things.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to have they have some guidance.
Yeah, and someone to report to, like, on a daily basis, and then I can report it back to you. And if you hear of any problems, or you guys hear of any problems, send it to Matt. He'll notify me and we'll get it corrected, so we can try to get our roads up to the standard that the residents are used to.
Yeah, we kind of know, we're all used to the roads the way they were, and it makes it hard for them.
And like Scott said, they're gonna get better. This may not be something we have to do forever, but I think for right now, it makes sense to have somebody like Scott that's familiar with the roads in this town and just, you know, has been around it long enough to be able to, you know, tell those guys certain things.
Right, basically, yeah, if we keep getting complaints and someone's head's
Yeah.
gonna roll, they're gonna see you later, we're gonna replace them,
Right.
you know, if they don't, period, if they gotta do it.
I think it's spot on. I don't think that this is unique to our town either. I think that there's towns that traditionally just work with liaisons. We have done that here in the past. And with all of the change and all of the new things that have gone on, some of those things slip through the cracks, and I think you're the right person if you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It takes sometimes, you know, jump in the truck.
Yeah.
Go plow, go watch them plow snow for a couple hours, you
Yeah.
know, and just
Get a
build the
feel for it.
relationship.
Yeah.
Get a feel for it, and give them somebody that they can feel comfortable talking to, and I think it's great. I don't. Got my support.
Very good.
All right,
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Scott.
yeah.
thanks.
Next up, we have grader tires,
That's gotta be you.
which
It
I'm
must be
assuming means we
expensive.
need some new ones.
Well, yeah, so the grader tires are original on the grader and apparently, you know, it just doesn't push. They're slipping. There's no tread left on the tires. I've been after Nate to finally get some quotes and estimates on it. He did get some estimates on the tires. There's some off-brand ones, and then there's the factory Michelin's. It's quite a price difference. I think you should get the original tires that lasted since it was new. I believe the grader is a 2012 or 14, 12.
I think.
They've lasted 11 years. They're $1,800 and change a piece. We need 6 of them. And they charge $200 an hour to come and put them on, and
So they come right here.
they come right here.
Where's this from?
I believe he said it was Pete's Tires somewhere. They're about the only ones,
I'm kind of familiar with, I've heard of them.
They're local, aren't they?
kind of local,
Yeah.
more towards,
Burlington.
yeah.
Town of Morgan has used them.
I didn't hear what Deb said, which.
Town of Morgan is usually.
So what's it on here for?
Well, it was more than,
It's enough, so you guys have. to-
it's about $12,000, I think
Yeah.
is what it's gonna be. Maybe 13, you know, so it's not. See, we didn't get a credit card with a high enough limit. You guys,
It's one of those things.
I mean, we
You
need-
tires,
I
you gotta have
I'd
tires.
definitely go with the
Especially-
better tire.
if you can't push the dirt,
I've been through the tire thing, buying cheap tires.
For heavy equipment.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
they
like a
get-
car,
the
right?
treads
know.
last, then they dry rot, and then they're no good.
Is the design the same?
Yeah,
So you're talking about the same tire, you're replacing the tire.
pretty much, yeah, equivalent to what it came with on the factory, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have,
You guys are the machine guys,
yeah,
We need them.
That's what we
We
need.
got a $700,000 piece of equipment, it probably should have some tires. And that was one of the things with one of our trucks, you know, one of the plow trucks, why are you going off the road? Well, it's got recaps on the front. And you're bald, hey, guess what, why aren't you putting tires on it? Those kind of things they can take care of themselves, and they are, and I think they made that, it's probably already fixed, but.
So we don't have an invoice, we don't have a,
We don't have an invoice, but we should approve probably up to $14,000 for Pete's Tire, and they can send us an invoice.
we just can approve up to an amount and then don't go over it, and you can help
Yeah, I
through
can,
your liaison.
yeah, I can have them send us an estimate, and I'll try to maybe lock down an exact price. You know, they know how long it's gonna take them to change them.
Yeah.
I can get that right away, and we can order them. I mean, obviously, it's not pressing to do right now, but I think we should do it whenever.
Good time of year to do it, actually. It's not, don't need it.
Get 'em
Who
up there,
knows?
and we'll come up
If I had
with-
new tires on it, maybe in this thaw, we'd go out and do some smoothing, you know?
Yeah.
They might use it.
They used to use it to push snow back.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Very effective.
it was very effective with that.
Well, all right, well, No objection to it.
Not for me.
I'd be the only objectionable one, I guess. So I mean, it's something we need, so I would motion that we approve expensing up to $14,000 for greater tire repair.
Second,
My main objective is to where the money comes from. Does it come from capital equipment fund? Because this is pretty much capital expense. A large expense that's, it's gonna last a long time. So I recommend it come from the capital equipment reserve fund rather than the general fund. But I need that to be part of it. That's
I would think that's where it should come from too.
part of the motion.
I can't wait till those are gone.
We're trying to get them gone.
Well, I don't understand the objection, and we don't need to get into it. But it meets the definition of a capital equipment expense.
I get it.
It's a long-term thing. Big bucks.
All right, so from the
If we take it out of the road budget, we'll just.
capital equipment fund,
Capital equipment reserve.
reserve fund.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Look.
Okay, so you just still need to.
second, is that?
Yep, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, there you go. All right, the main event. Treasurer's report.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Share. But, oh, I'm not on it, okay. Oh, well, okay. You want us to hear and share? No, I don't have the file on that. So, but you guys do have my report in front of you.
Yep.
Sure.
So, November is kind of a busy month for treasurer time, so let me just kind of go line by line. Just to make sure you understand. If you look at the general fund checking account, that's the general fund. Lots of revenue there, $467,472. That's the tail end of collecting taxes, the education taxes. So that comes in, that's why that's a big number. Then expenses and transfers, you see 2.4 million. Well, we write the big check to the school, to the state really, but goes directly to the school. Education taxes, that's 2.something million, 2.2, something like that. It's a good chunk of change out the door. So again, big money moving. The other expenses for November were typical month, not a whole lot usual stuff for November. That same line, if you look over where I've got down the additional amount in CDs, if you were to compare on the general fund, last month it said 750,000, this month it says $1 million. What I did, I ended up buying the CD that was in the roads infrastructure fund. And we'll see that when we go down there. Because the roads infrastructure fund needed more money in cash because you guys have been paving and spending in roads infrastructure. It's fine. And I kind of underestimated what you were going to do. So now the general fund has $1 million in CDs, and that's great. No problem with that. And as we move down the page, the roads infrastructure fund on the reserve side, you'll see a revenue side there of 250,000 plus interest, 250,019.27. That's me buying the capital equipment funds CD and putting that cash in not the capital, the road infrastructure fund CD and putting that cash there so I could then pay the bills for roads infrastructure. And you notice it no longer has an amount in a CD. Okay, it should go over to the right hand side. Other than that, there's no change in the amount of CDs total, 1.75 million from last. So, yeah, that's November. Thank you, David.
Looks good, David.
Thanks.
Address, have to.
Could have been one of mine.
So we aren't yet seeing the, what was it we talked about? not yet seeing the grants. But I saw that somewhere today.
The road grants that have come in.
Well, the ones that were.
All the
expecting
grants, I
back.
saw it somewhere today.
Yeah, it was on that budget sheet.
So, yeah, we have received a number of the culvert work grants, I think, from.
I just submitted the culvert one last week, so I don't think that's back yet. Let's see.
Okay, but there's been some others that have come in.
Yeah,
And those have been actually on previous reports, because they came in.
Hancock Hill, we got back.
Yeah.
Lane Road has not come back yet.
Matt, where did I see that today?
It was on that budget sheet that you were working on this morning, remember?
Yeah. But I don't have
That
it.
was,
Well, I think.
one you gave me Friday.
I don't have
On
it.
spending.
Oh, the reserve
Reserve,
fund
reserve fund spending, I had all the grants up on there.
Okay, yeah, I have that, let me pull that up, I got it right in front of me now.
Yeah, so I think I'd like in us to be doing that like right into these sheets. So this, what we're looking at is all the time continuously knowing and understanding what money we've expended for grant projects that we expect and anticipate back. If that makes sense, so that
Right,
we can
don't
see
lose-
it.
Yeah, we don't lose track of
You
it.
don't lose track of it, and we gotta be thinking about that when we're watching our cash flow.
Right, it's more income, like, if we can expect it back next year, we'll use it in our budget.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to think through and talk that through, which is, just, I mean, it's kind of a do to, do from thing almost. But,
So, you wanna see that on this one pager?
well, obviously, we're probably gonna have to go to a 2-pager, but I think that it's something that we should be seeing monthly as a group. Every grant that is currently open. If that's the word.
I think we only, would we have two or three left to get back, sidewalk study, maybe,
Sidewalk study is back.
that's back, see, but we don't really know, right?
There was more, what were they? Anyway,
That Hancock Hill culvert,
Hancock Hill, we got back, we did that one we did this summer, that we've been paid for that one.
so what money do we have out on any grants right now?
Well, I just barely submitted on Lane Road last week. Cause I just got this final invoice from SciCard, so I couldn't do anything until, once you guys approved it at the last meeting.
Yeah,
After that, I sent it into the state V-Trans.
so that's one.
Right, so that's out there.
We've got Station Road.
That's FEMA, does that same.
Well, somewhere it should be,
Same
No.
thing, but you probably don't have a cost on that yet.
so we should just
No, but
open it up
What, I mean,
a
somehow.
line item,
Yeah,
so Tyler's gonna start, he's gonna start bid packages for that after the first year. He was just waiting for people to finish two
Okay.
2023. He's gonna start bid packages on that, and then those will go out in January. And then you guys will decide who you'd like to work and.
But you're right, you can probably make a line item of some sorts of the expenses that you have documented with FEMA, so that way you got an idea.
We're asking FEMA for $990,000.
Right, which will be the grants coming in, so you can get an idea of what it is.
yeah, so anyway, yeah, all of those, I mean, we don't need to be looking at ones that have already been closed out.
Right.
In the
You
past,
just need- you want
Anything that
those.
we've got as a project that's grant related. That we've expended money on. Should have a line item
Yeah.
on this somewhere that
Well, we
shows us what
Actually, we
we've,
just technically we had spent money on the Coventry station because we did all those repairs to make
And we
it.
should
So that-
someday
We
get that.
have.
That's a separate thing than what they're.
yeah,
right, but we should have it on,
Right, yeah. I've already submitted for that, so that money should be coming back sooner rather than.
exactly, cause it's come out of
Right.
your treasury department
Right.
already gone.
Right,
And we
yeah.
anticipate it
Yeah.
coming back because it
Yeah.
wasn't something that we budgeted
You're
for.
right, because we did 30 grand worth of work, and that's gonna come back as a FEMA reimbursement before the, before the.
Right.
The big,
Before
before the
the-
big job.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have two projects, right?
next door,
Yeah,
there's still 80 or 180,000, that's,
This one here,
yeah, that, and we don't even talk about it.
it should be on there, and so that we do talk about it, and at least, educate. And talk about, so anyway,
Yeah.
that'd be my request, that we, get those things on there, and I don't know, I don't care what the format is.
It just is for the
But-
next people coming onto the board, and as it changes through.
You don't lose it.
You lose it,
Yeah.
So I think you'd be looking at a separate page for grants.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
fine.
And I can help you, I can help.
yeah, yeah, it's fine. What was it on today? I can't remember now.
It was reserve fund spending. That we had, Dave gave us a reserve fund spending sheet to work through on the budget, and that was on there.
Okay, good reminder. So reserve fund spending, we're just about ready to have a real conversation on that, right? So I'd like to see, Dave, you'd already did this for us once, or at least for me, I saw it earlier this summer. How much we've spent from all of our reserve funds in the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay,
Because when I mean, this is gonna be, the voters are gonna be asked to vote on something, and there needs to be an educational piece on that, on, you know, why there's a thought process of adjusting. And part of that is obviously the expense of money, and my participation in it, it is the fact that not that we've spent the money, but the process that we go through to expend the money is important. And when we're looking at millions of dollars, right, that's been my kick. Those are things I think we should be slowing down, planning better in the future, going through the stuff that we've been talking about. So part of that whole buildup of that conversation is important to see those expenses. So if there's a way in the next little while that you could do that in some sort of easy to read.
well, it depends how you want it, right? I mean, it's currently available now from the town reports on an annual basis. So I do it from the perspective of how to meet what a town voter would think they would look at, which is not fiscal year one, it's for calendar year.
Yep.
But it's all the same transaction.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Information
matter.
a little bit different. But those are already in the reports, so
Okay.
going back
2019.
3 or 4 years. Probably 2021 might have been the first I have to look and see.
So can you just do that, get that compiled, however you want to do it, whatever format you give it?
They're right here.
Yeah, and send it to us and just give us a total. You either break it down by year, just do a total. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. But it'll help us to generate that conversation.
That'll be a terrible conversation, the way you're gonna word it, just Morley.
I'll rehearse and be nice. But I mean, we're doing it now. We did it tonight. It's just, we need to force ourselves to plan forward and not just have grader tires pop up today and go buy them. You know, we need to educate people and push people to plan ahead. See, you need grader tires, put them in next year's budget. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So if we can do that, where are we at? I got a new business one too, whenever we get there.
Go ahead.
Are we there?
We're there.
It almost is a good way. So I came in today. For Matt, or Deb. Deb and I got fighting. This is a busy time of year. This is very, very hectic. It's busy for all of these folks to do all the things they gotta be doing and building these reports and closing out, dealing with auditors and listening to me. So I was reminded again today, as I sat with Matt, we did some budget work. We thought through some of the pieces there. I talked with Dave slightly a little bit, Deb a lot today. And it reminded me again how, quite honestly, overwhelming it can be. I left you with a headache, and I was only here for a few hours. It's the amount of information that these folks have that's necessary that they have in order to function, right? So with that said, I would say thank you to all of you for doing an outstanding job, because you all are, and criticize me a little bit. I was gonna say that you guys, but
All right,
so it's sort of like, you know, the select board is actually accountable for almost all of it, right? But I can't see all those moving parts. because there's too damn many. I don't know how you do it, but there's a lot of stuff going on. So something that worked for us some number of years ago when there was a lot of stuff going on in flying was, you and I talked about this a little bit. We had a workflow sheet that didn't allow for the forgottens. And it can be as little as what we just talked about with grant money, because we talked about that 3 or 4 times, but we talked about it at the end of the night. Or something big like lawsuits, right? And everything in between. I don't know how any of us can keep track of it. So I think we all, through human beings, just sort of get occasionally. And we have to reinstall the system, I think, for communication across the officials. So it's not just for us, it's for all of them, because they all sort of touch each other in one way or another. Deb's work and David's work and Matt's work all are interconnected, and they sort of help each other and work through whatever it is until the bill pay or whatever. But it shouldn't be a surprise to either any of them that this came, and it shouldn't be a repeat on our end to have to rethink through a whole bunch of stuff when it should just be there. So I'm going to be asking as a board member that we think through that quickly, work with you and find it, because you're the guy who has to create it. I don't care what the format is. I don't care if it's an Excel. I don't care if it's handwritten. Well, I do. Can't be handwritten. I don't care what it is, but it has to be a working, living document. So we don't lose it. Something that we can look at, refresh. You get it, you get it. We all get it on the email, whatever, however it works. And work through that. I mean, you can literally, I could probably sit with these 3 and create a list. 50.
I was gonna say 50.
50, 75 items, and some of them we're gonna say, oh yeah, right, we gotta go back and do that, from personnel policies to, you know, talking about this or dealing with a budget thing or whatever it is. And it's just
Something that's on a list, say, and it's there until we complete it, do it. And-
Yeah,
And then it's off.
that's it's a good way to
We
say
look
it.
at it until
It's a to-do list.
A to-do
It's a
list.
honey-do list.
Yeah.
Basically look through the last 2 years of our meeting notes. And
Yeah.
pick up all the pieces that we like got left behind. You know what I mean? There's some. for
We
sure.
could.
There's, yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff.
And just start it. And, you know, formatting, I don't care about. The process, I probably have a little bit of input on, but I wouldn't want to initially if you're comfortable with sort of creating it. But it's just it's a bullet pointed stuff.
Mhm.
You know, it's this, and if something's tasked out to Phil, you know, Phil, you're tasked, you're tagged, you're it.
Mhm.
That would be on there. So, but then 2 months from now, 3 months from now, if we haven't closed that out, we haven't heard from that, it's a reminder to go ask Phil, hey, what happened?
Right, even like this NECO meeting on the January 16th, it's there, it's a full meeting.
Right,
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah.
It's your thing. And he's gonna grow that
Mm-hmm.
into what he was just talking about, which is great. You know, he's already thinking about, I heard it when he was talking, he's already thinking about how he springboards that into an action step, talking to the community members and, you know, getting some buy-in. And so I think we have to do it. I'd like to see it started the next time you come to work. I really would, because I can't keep track of it. It's too many things for me. And then my thoughts have to rework the same thoughts again, you know, because I'm not here all the time. So it's just an easy way for us. It sounds like a little bit of work for you, and I think it probably is, but it's gonna save you time.
Mhm.
Once you start using it and crossing things off and adding
Yeah.
on, it's gonna get clean. It'll
Yeah.
get clean.
Yeah, I think. it's a
Everything
good
will be
idea.
current.
Well, I mean, it's always gonna, it just always is there.
Yeah.
Trust me, it just always is gonna have 25, 30, 50 things on it, but they're not gonna be 2 years old.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna be
Right.
months old, and you're really gonna,
Ways stuff.
yeah, you wanna avoid that. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would ask that we do that. And then once we get that started and we evolve with it a little bit, we should pitch it around and just see, you know, and allow, not allow, but ask everybody to be looking at it, you know, give it to Deb.
No, not Deb.
No, that's true. Deb will add, Deb will build 2 pages herself. You know, but essentially it's sort of almost like what Phil did for us.
Yeah.
And in this last event, he nailed it. He was giving us the live time communication pieces that we could digest for ourselves and be ready if the phone rang. It's the same thing. So if you get it shareable and they can always look at it, they always know what the heck it is that we're working on and doing and dealing with, and they can help us and
Right.
give us some stuff. So I think we need to do it. It's too many moving parts.
Okay. All right, you got some minutes to approve there?
Yeah.
Still hear rain coming down. Is that rain that I hear?
Mhm.
Did you notice if the picnic tables got moved? Did we ever do any more with that? That was one of the things that
I didn't notice. I mean, I told them.
okay.
It didn't look like any of them were moved when I went through this afternoon.
Like,
They've been.
I know they've been busy, but they might be able to float them out tomorrow. You want to road up to the school?
So on that, while you guys are looking at those, I was gonna say, if you didn't notice, it is getting high. But I have reached out to Nathan and Matt. You should have the text. I'm
Yeah.
going to expect we're gonna see some road closures at the least, like we normally do with River Road and High Acres. Probably, I drove down River Road like around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and Messier, right by Messier Farm Road, was pretty high. I just asked him to keep me updated on closures for this part of it, and then so we can keep emergency services updated, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, Phil's sick. He's still already updated me twice today on what's going on outside. So he's on it.
Your river gauge just hit 7.21 feet. This morning it was at 3.
You're definitely gonna fly. I mean, Ladybird's already
It went up
flown, so,
4 feet.
yeah.
Ladybird
So,
came up really fast in an hour.
The slope is.
hey,
it's going up.
liaison.
I'm on it.
It's not looking like it's level.
I'll be on the truck in the morning.
I'd make a motion to accept the minutes for the select board meeting, Town of Coventry, Wednesday, December 6th, 2023, as prepared.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. You got some warrants there?
I have a question. You guys already gone through all other business?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just had one quick thing, especially with Phil being on the phone or on here as well. Something that we should maybe consider, only because with some of the recent flooding, the propane tanker stuff that we've had to deal with, this town really does not have an effective way to really reach our residents who really need to be notified when things, is very crucial and time sensitive. I know at the school, and with Phil now working with the SU, the school has this outreach program, which is basically, they have all the parents' cell phone number, it's in the system, if something needs to be notified, a telephone call is just sent out. Regardless if the people are home or if they're at their jobs or wherever they are, they're going to get a message, and it could be, you know, hey, if you're within this mile of this propane tanker, you know, your home needs to be evacuated. But at least it would give us the capability to be able to notify our residents when they need to be notified. I didn't know if Phil could maybe give some information as far as approximately what a system of that nature possibly costs with working with the SU, and if so, if that's something maybe we could possibly ask Phil to maybe investigate a little bit more, and if that is something we could possibly fit within our budget for this coming year, and get information out to our residents to try to gather as much information as we can. That
So
was my thought.
for emergency stuff, specifically like what we just had, we have VT alert that is provided by the state.
Okay.
That is a matter of just making people have to sign up for it, and then they choose what areas they want notifications from. But that is that, in my opinion, would be our notification system, and we just got to make sure that our residents know to go sign up and put in the information so they get a phone call or a text message or an email. It does all three. But you do have to be signed up in order to do it, which is the same as a school. They have all their parents who are enrolled students are signed up, so we would still have to go through that process anyways. I think that from a management standpoint, utilizing VT alert that way is the best way, because then we aren't having to worry about managing a system
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
And can you put something together for the annual report? And then
Yeah, I'll throw that in there. I think I usually do, but I'll make sure it's in there to.
I wonder if maybe we do its own separate page.
Yep.
Just so it's really highlighted out
wanna leave
separately
it
and try to
and
get
give it,
everybody involved.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Phil.
And we were using VT alert quite a bit that day. And I was also having the school throw out the same messages too.
I don't think then I'm on VT alert because I didn't get any of those.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Phil, for that. Thanks, Deb. So I got one question for you, Deb, on the invoices.
Yes.
How come you're writing so many checks to pick and shovel for clothes?
That's something that the select board will probably need to discuss. I'm not quite sure what exactly is in the policy as far as what we do provide to the road crew for clothing. Whether there's a stipend once a year that they go out and can buy boots, buy jackets, or buy whatnot. But yeah, those are some big invoices in addition to the uniform invoices. So that's another personnel policy issue that still needs to be done.
So there's a,
Right.
so,
I'll get copies of these. Can you send me copies of the pick and shovel invoices? Email them to me, Matt? Yep. Just,
so right now we don't have a stipend on that. Do we have a stipend on that? Do we have a clothing stipend for the road crew? So we do uniform.
We have UniFirst, but we're having problems with first. We're not getting our stuff.
You're gonna have to deal with that. Just look at the whole thing. Tear it down and figure it out. Look at the.
Nathan's, I've had several conversations with UniFirst. Nathan's had several conversations with UniFirst. We've talked to their regional director. We've talked to their national director. We're not getting the stuff. We're just not.
we
getting
had
our
problems
stuff.
with our shop, the same thing. We can't, no one has them anymore.
Nobody's
Done.
getting it, you know, we didn't.
Really? Yeah.
So we got to the winter and none of these guys had any winter clothes to wear. So I told them they could buy some stuff pretty sure to, you know, a jacket, you know, because they were out there in their t-shirts. It was 20 degrees outside. And we ordered this stuff from UniFirst, you know, 8 months ago. Not a thing is showing up.
All right, so maybe I can go over with them what a stipend would look like and how much of a stipend it would be.
So do we have a contract issue? Do you don't use them? Your company?
UniFirst,
Yeah.
not for uniforms anymore. You get rags and do you get still the rags? And they clean the parts washer and those kind of things, but no uniforms.
Didn't we have a problem trying to get away from them last time? You remember that, Deb? Dave was very upset with them, tried to get away from them, and they got you tied in somehow.
I haven't signed a
Not
contract.
sure, but,
There's the keep coming, you don't have to sign it, and then you can just be done.
but one thing that I've been bringing up is.
I haven't signed a contract.
Can you just do all that at
Yep.
the same time? Look at whatever our contract is.
Yep.
Talk to Nathan and the guys. I mean, they need clothing, they need what they need, but I don't think we should give them a blank check either.
I agree.
No, what we did was just for emergencies,
Yeah.
basically, if they had to, I mean, they had
Right,
to have something.
so.
But they are road people and
They
guess
are.
what?
Right, I mean,
Right.
Nathan,
Your mechanic, you probably need a toolbox.
he was ruining his own clothes, he was ruining his own personal clothes coming to work here, so.
But you know, maybe they need to have work clothes.
Question,
I'll work through it. I'll
Something,
get
yeah.
a note out.
Go ahead, Deb.
Uh-oh.
now, based on the comment though, because I know a couple times, a couple of us have had this conversation, but if they're not getting their stuff, every single AP warrant, we are paying invoices that are coming to us. So are we paying invoices that we should not be paying because we are not having that product that invoice is representing?
As far as I know, yes, because every time they tell me, they say they're not getting any of their stuff, they're not getting their jeans, they're not getting, I think they got their t-shirts, whatever, but.
Get her to give you the line.
They're not getting their jeans, they're not,
All the
Jeff, they didn't get any of the
expenses.
sweatshirts they ordered, they didn't get any of the jackets they ordered.
And what happens is when you deal with a company and they send Nathan Bob's stuff,
Right.
Nathan decides, and hypothetically,
Yeah.
Nathan decides to keep Bob's stuff. But guess what? Nathan knows he's missing a suit, but guess what? UniFirst delivered 8. They don't know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
2 of the 8 was Bob and Joe's. They got 8. They're billing you. You got it. You didn't send it back and say, hey, that wasn't mine. They keep it.
And I don't know, and I think
that's
it
how
was
it
okay
works.
when it was Dave and John, Deb, I don't think Dave and John had any problems, but it seems like ever since we got the new guys, we're just not getting what we asked for from.
I got it.
It would, look at the line item,
You
figure out.
guys motion those warrants?
I motion to accept the warrants as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
I
You,
motion to adjourn.
thank you,
Second.
All those in favor?
I
we are adjourned. Great job,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
Oh, yeah. That was another thing I was gonna tell you.
What,
The first is a Monday.
the 1st of January is Monday? Okay. We'll have to
So you're gonna have to do your meeting